Good morning and welcome. We're going to begin with a Tongan chant. We're wishing wellness and wholeness, beginning with oneself, out to our family and friends and community, and then out into the larger world. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be whole. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be whole. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be whole. This is normally sung as a round, so if you want to try singing along in round form, I hope you do. The translation is where there is charity and love, there is God. We'll sing it 3 or 4 times. Ubi caritas et amor, ubi caritas Deus ibi est, ubi caritas et amor, ubi caritas Deus ibi est. Ubi caritas et amor, ubi caritas Deus ibi est.
Good morning. Welcome everyone to White Bear Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm Nancy Versteg, serving on your church board. We are a congregation in the free faith tradition, a community of youth, adults, and children dedicated to pluralism in the spiritual search and ethics grounded in action. Service participants today include Carol Couette, Amy Peterson-Derrick, the Reverend Sarah Goodman, and Victoria Safford, supported by Anna Gearis and Aaron Scott. Music today is from the choir, directed by Thaxter Cuneo, supported by Steve Goranson, and from Julia Reichholt, David Heath, and Carol Couette. Your pledge committee has a gift for you and your household: a paper luminary to place in your window or yard, and a pack of hot cocoa to warm your spirit as winter settles in. You can pick these up here at church right outside the front doors anytime. Gifts of thanks to all of you for supporting our church in so many ways. Strong is what we make each other. Watch for e-news this week on Monday and Thursday for news about upcoming classes and programs for children, youth, and adults. Today at 11:15, plan to join us for Cyber Social Hour. It's a fun way to meet others and share conversation in small facilitated groups. We'll put the Zoom link and easy instructions in the chat box. Welcome to our church. Together we grow our souls and serve the world in love.
Come in. Come into this space which we make holy by our presence. Come in with all your vulnerabilities and strengths, fears and anxieties, loves and hopes. For here you need not hide nor pretend, nor be anything other than who you are and who you are called to be. Come into this space where we can heal and be healed, forgive and be forgiven. Come into this space where the ordinary is sanctified, the human is celebrated, the compassionate is expected. Come into this space. Together we make it a holy space. John Weiss and Sue Dahlman will light the chalice.
In this time of terrifying political divide and divisiveness, I am called to honor those who have the courage to attempt to hear the voices and opinions of those who think and vote the very opposite of how we think, believe, and vote, whether blue or red. It takes bravery to hold on to our words about our beliefs and why we are so right and that the other is all wet or stupid or a misguided follower and so wrong. It takes courage to say, I want to hear about your beliefs. I want to listen to you. I want to really listen. And I don't want to shame you. I want to know what your beliefs are. I want to try to understand you and to hear you. And I would love it if you would also listen to me and try to understand me and my beliefs. As we navigate this unprecedented period in our nation's history, I encourage each of us to reach down deeply and listen for the courage to just listen to the words, the beliefs of the other. So today we light this chalice in honor of the courage that we all have within us.
Join me in our opening words. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Our hymn this morning is What Wondrous Love from Singing the Living Tradition, number 18.
What wondrous love is this, oh my soul, what wondrous love is this, oh my soul, what wondrous love is this, that brings my heart such bliss, and takes away the pain of my soul, and takes away the pain of my soul. When I was sinking down, when I was sinking down, when I was sinking down beneath my sorrow's ground, friends to me gathered round, oh my soul, friends to me gathered round, oh my soul, to love and to all friends I will sing, to love and to all friends I will sing, to love and to all friends who pain and sorrow mend, with thanks unto the end I will sing, with thanks unto the end I will sing.
This morning, I'd like to share with you one of my favorite stories, a Buddhist story called The Broom Master. As you listen, you will hear me repeat this phrase: sweep away the dust, sweep away the dirt. When you hear it, I'm going to invite you today into a meditation with me, sweeping your hands when you hear it, if you feel comfortable, or just simply breathing in when we sweep away the dust and breathing out when we sweep away the dirt. Let's try it. Sweep away the dust, sweep away the dirt. The Broom Master. Chunda and his brother Raj lived in a small village. Above all else, Chunda admired his older brother Raj, who at the age of 16 was a bright and brilliant scholar and was preparing to move to the city to study Buddhism at the monastery. Chunda wanted more than anything in the world to accompany his brother, but he knew that part of the work of a student at a monastery would be to read, memorize, and recite the lessons of Buddhism. This worried Chunda because though he had a kind and generous heart, he was not a very skilled reader, and he worried that he wouldn't be able to memorize the lessons. Raj knew that there was much more to Buddhism than reading and reciting text, and so he encouraged Chunda to come along, even if it was to earn his keep at the monastery by working. Chunda was persuaded, and off the brothers went to the monastery, to the city. Raj studied, and Chunda worked. After a while, Raj noticed that Chunda became sad, for it was Chunda's greatest wish to join Raj in his studies. And so one day, Raj sent Chunda to see the Buddha, the wise master of the monastery. The kind man sat in silence with Chunda for quite some time, until finally the Buddha asked, "Chunda, you are a hard worker, are you not?" "Yes, sir," replied Chunda. "You do all that you do with all your heart and soul, do you not?" "Yes," replied Chunda once more. The Buddha continued, "I would like to give you a special job. I want you to sweep the temple hall each and every day. Can you do that?" "Oh, yes, teacher," Chunda said, jumping up with delight. "That is something I can do well." "Very well then, Chunda. I will give you the job of sweeping the temple. That is all you must do. But as you sweep the temple floors, you must speak these lines to yourself over and over. Sweep away the dust, sweep away the dirt. Can you remember that? Sweep away the dust, sweep away the dirt, Chunda repeated. Yes, teacher, I can remember that because that is exactly what I will be doing. Sweep away the dust, sweep away the dirt. And so Chunda set off to complete his work. Each day he swept the temple and recited his words, sweep away the dust, sweep away the dirt. Sweep away the dust, sweep away the dirt. The more he said it, the easier the words became to remember. The more he said it, the more at peace he began to feel. Sweep away the dust, sweep away the dirt. One day, Chunda stopped and the Buddha came upon him. Share your thoughts, said the wise teacher. Master, you are very wise, and this task that you gave me was very simple, to sweep away the dust and dirt in the temple. But I wonder if there was another lesson that you meant me to learn. The Buddha smiled and nodded. Yes, Chunda, what have you learned? Chunda replied, dust and dirt cover and cloud what is clear. When I say these words, I feel at peace. So while I am sweeping away the outer dust and dirt in the temple, I am also sweeping away the inner dust and dirt. The Buddha nodded once more. Tell me, Chunda, what is inner dust and dirt? Chunda thought for a moment, and then he replied, I believe that inner dust and dirt is a grasping. If we don't like something in our lives, then we grasp for a different situation. But if we do like something we have, then we also grasp because we don't want it to change. Chunda continued, To look at life clearly, we must always see through this. We must sweep away the dust and dirt and keep our inner temple clean. Sweep away the dust. Sweep away the dirt. As the years passed, Chunda was able to share his wisdom with the other monks, and stories of his teaching spread throughout the city. Students would come from far and wide to hear the simple, profound wisdom of Chunda, the Broom Master.
Join me in the spirit of this meditation. Find a comfortable place for your body. Take a deep breath as you sweep away the dust, and let it out as you sweep away the dirt. Breathe in and out. Spirit of life, Spirit of love, Spirit of compassion, hold us today in all of our complexities. Hold us in the struggles of everyday living, the struggles we hide, the struggles we carry, sometimes alone, but never really alone. Hold us in our joy, unfettered or complicated, in the brightness of a new beginning, in the brightness of a rainbow of amazing women sharing their joy and their power on a stage, bringing us beauty and grace, ushering in an age of possibility. Hold us as we mourn the ones we've lost and fear for the ones who are ill. Hold us as we celebrate births and grieve deaths. Hold us as we move through the world with weights on our shoulders, though lighter this week than before. Hold us and all the ones whose names we speak aloud, those that we love, in a warm embrace. Spirit, help us always to remember we are whole, we are holy, and we are not alone. Amen.
Every financial gift to our congregation goes to support the programs we've come to rely on as anchors in our lives. Gathering space and materials for children, youth, and families, choral rehearsals and music, classes and small groups, justice work and public witness, pastoral care, rites of passage, and Sunday services. You can contribute to the offering today by sending a check or by following the easy prompt to give to text. Please note that we have changed the number you should use. The correct number appears on today's screen. Thank you for your generous support.
The first reading is from poet Aracelis Girmay from her poem On Kindness. At the airport, with the turtle hours to spare between now and my flight, there is such a thing as the kindness of the conveyor belt, who lends me its slow, strange mollusk foot as I stand quiet and exhausted. Somehow its slow and quiet carrying of the load reminds me of the kindness of donkeys, and this kindness returns me to myself. It reminds me of the kindnesses of other things I have loved, like the kindness of sisters who send mail wherever you are. And speaking of mail, there's the special kindness of the mail lady who says, "Hi, baby," to everyone. At first, I thought it was just me, but now I know she says, "Hi, baby," to everyone. That is kindness. Two, there is the kindness of windows and of dogs. And then there was that extraordinary Sunday I heard a woman screaming about how she was lonely and so lonely, and she didn't know what she'd do, she said over and over, like a parrot in a cage, a parrot whose human parent only taught it that one sentence. I looked out the window and saw her from behind, the way she flung her arms, and her voice seemed fogged out with methadone. I don't know, something. I walked away from the window and sat angry with her for screaming and sad. Not long after, I heard her saying, "What'd you say? What'd you say to me?" And a man's voice, low, I could not tell if it was kind. And she said, "I will kill myself. I'm so lonely." And did I tell you yet that it was Mother's Day? Flowers and mothers all day long. And the woman saying, "I'm so lonely." And then quiet. And the man's voice saying, "It's okay. It's okay. I love you. It's okay." And this made me get up, put my face again to the window to see my landlord's nephew outside, just hugging her so, as if it were his mother. I mean, as if he belonged to her. When the front door of the brownstone opened up and let the tall nephew in with his sad and cougar eyes, handsome and tall in his Carolina Brooklyn swagger, I heard him start to climb the stairs above me. And though it was none of my business, I asked him, "Do you know that woman out there?" And do you know what happened next? He said no. The nephew said no, he didn't know the woman out there, and he told me Happy Mother's Day as he climbed the rest of the stairs. And I can't stop seeing them hugging on the street under trees. It was spring, but cold, and sometimes in the memory his head is touching hers. And sometimes in the memory his eyes are closed, and sometimes she is holding him, singing to him, "I love you, it's okay." I mean to tell you that everywhere I go, I hear us singing to each other. I mean to tell you that I have witnessed such great kindness as this. In this, my true life, you must believe me. I mean, on a Sunday, I saw this happen, the two of them hugging when nobody was supposed to be watching, but not a secret either, public as the street, not for glory and not for a joke. The landlord's nephew, ready to stand there for the woman like a brother or a sister or a husband or a son, or none of these at all, but a stranger who, like her, is an earthling. Perhaps this thing I am calling kindness is more simple than kindness, rather recognition of the neighbor and the blue shared earth and the common circumstances of being here, what remains living of the last 2 million impossible years. The second reading is from poet Raymond Carver, a late fragment. And did you get what you wanted from this life, even so? I did. And what did you want? To call myself beloved, to feel myself beloved on the earth.
let the birds all hail the morning. Love of life will urge me, say, you are the new day. I'd lay me down at night, knowing we must pay, that this night might stay yesterday. Thoughts that we as humans small could slow worlds and end it all, and lie around me where they fall before the new day. One more day when time is running out for everyone. Like a breath I knew would come, I reach for a new day. Hope is my philosophy, just needs days in which to be. Love of life is hope for me, born on a new day. You are the new day.
As she shared with you and with me and with the whole world her inaugural poem last Wednesday morning, Amanda Gorman wore a ring gifted her by Oprah Winfrey. It's shaped like a birdcage with a bird inside, an homage to Maya Angelou, another inaugural poet. The image comes from the poem that lent a title to her memoir. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still. And his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. It has felt this week as if the door to a cage confining us these past few years has been opened, not miraculously, but by the hardest of hard work. And we've all come out blinking in the sunshine, stretching wings and limbs and muscles, tensed and constricted so long we'd almost forgotten how they work. The core musculature of imagination, the sinews of hope that bind us to life and each other. We're a little lighter now, a little more free to imagine health and restoration, transformation, free again to expect that the most basic of basic decencies might once more be commonplace among us. I don't want to take that metaphor too far without acknowledging straight up that freedom falls to different people very differently. And if anything, we're free now, a little more free to imagine more diligently how that disparity might change. Cornel West, theologian, writes of the many millions of people, Black and brown, who are held right now in literal cages, iron cages, and he compares those jails, those detention centers, those prisons to what he calls the golden cage of privilege. It's almost as hard to get out of one cage as the other, he says, and each in its way can choke the human spirit of its power. So I might squint my eyes and pretend the bars of a golden cage do not exist, that they don't surround me and protect me every day, but I know they're there. And what's changed from last week to this is that now I'm a little more free, a little more at liberty, a little more able to take up the work, to take back the work of dismantling every manner of cage, bars of iron, bars of gold. So I think Amanda Gorman's ring, like her poem, says something to us all. There is more room to breathe this week in our country and therefore in the whole world. So let's draw breath and put it to good use. There's more room to remember now who we are, each of us who we're called to be. More room, more breath, more capacity, more stamina, more hope. And strangely, some of that hope for me was illuminated, kindled from within on Tuesday night, when the reflecting pool in Washington was ringed in lights and somber music, a national observance of 400,000 dead. Sadly and strangely, I think I felt something stirring that I think was hope, as I saw our new leaders grieving with us, bearing witness and disconsolate like us. It was, if not a comfort, then a confirmation that we're not crazy, that our losses are real, our fear is justified, and our dead are worthy of our tears. The new administration says, not with gloom, but with honesty, respect, that we can expect the death toll to rise to 500,000 people soon. And I don't know what to do with that, but light more candles, shine more light, and ask you all to hold with me a little silence here. None of us can understand 400,000 gone. You can't fathom it. And the millions more who love them, how many can a single person mourn? But in the silence here, for just a moment, see if you can think of one, maybe somebody you knew or somebody you know about, or just imagine that nursing home or that hospital you drive by so frequently. Try to imagine, picture one person. For just a moment, let's breathe in and breathe out in silence and in memory. Those of us remaining are a little freer now to move about the cabin of our daily days, to dream around the edges of our Zoom tangles and remember who we are, what we think we stand for, what we long for, what we need as a country and our own selves, each by each. Now that we can breathe more easily, not hyperventilating all the time or gasping, sputtering with rage, we can reset our sights, recalculate direction, sort through what we're all learning in pandemic time and what we're going to carry into a future that we might soon be able to envision. Feels good to have a little space, psychic, emotional space. Julie Cadwallader-Staub is a poet in Vermont. We know her here. She gave a reading for us in the sanctuary last year when her most recent book came out. She's a sister of longtime member Doris Staub-Petrie. Julie has a wonderful poem, which I think is about the expansion of imagination, which is always a courageous act, to take the risk of thinking and dreaming, being and becoming larger and deeper and broader, more creative and more kind than you've been so far. Our theme this month has been courage, and I think that's what this partly is. Her piece is called Jesus Buys a House in South Burlington, Vermont. And she's telling a story about a woman with a new neighbor who annoys her. I live in a lovely neighborhood, or at least it used to be before he moved in next door. Now there's a stream of raggy people on bikes and in cars, most trudging up the street on foot to his raised ranch. Those old, unkempt men who live under the bridges and back in the woods, those women, streetwalker types, and old ones with canes and walkers, children too, and migrants, immigrants, illegals, college kids, all the riffraff, plus a few decent people, some fancy cars mixed in. And he feeds them. has an old Weber grill set up in the front yard. I called the police and saw them pull up. I thought they would shut down the operation, but apparently he's not breaking any laws, not even disturbing the peace. And today the paper reported that the officers resigned from their positions and moved in with him. And it's true. I've seen them working side by side with the others, serving food, cleaning up, weeding that big front garden in the yard. The article did not include what Jesus said, though, that made those officers leave their good jobs to stay with him. What does he say that makes all those people want to be near him? Every night he builds a bonfire out front, stands there in the light with everyone gathered around him. And I have to tell you, I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm not the kind of person who does this kind of thing. But here I am, standing in my bedroom next to my open window to listen. Jesus buys a house in South Burlington, Vermont. So she's intrigued, right? In spite of herself, she's intrigued by these people, the police weeding the garden and stirring the soup, the raggedy poor feeding the hungry themselves and tending the old and the sick and the young and the battered and beaten and broken, strangers and strange people acting like family right there in the front yard. She's not just disgusted or fearful. She's curious about what her rangy new neighbor is saying and doing. She's not only nosy, but curious, and maybe also knowing at last and even out loud her own loneliness, the depth of it, her own poverty of spirit, the limitations of her golden cage. Curiosity like that, that's the beginning of courage. There's more space for that now, for all of us. We've been cooped up inside, cooped up in constriction for so long. It's time to move now toward the window. Open the window, even though it's still winter, and listen. Who's hungry out there? Who's hurting? Who's helping? Who is out there? Who else is cooped up in here with us and cooped up out there in their places just like us? It is cold, but still we should be leaning out our windows and listening like the crabby woman in the poem to what the rest of the neighborhood is talking about and feeling and sharing and suffering and doing and dreaming and trying and needing, singing. The danger of pandemic time, beyond the obvious physical danger, the danger of isolation is that sometimes we can't see beyond it. We begin to believe that our own suffering is the worst suffering, or that our own sadness is silly, that we should just get a grip. If we're lonely, it's our own damn fault. We should have made more friends years ago. We lose perspective in isolation. We doubt ourselves, doubt each other. We forget the wisdom of all the plastic lawn signs that 10 months in are fading now and they're weather worn, but you can still make out the words, we're all in this together. We've heard a lot about self-care through this quarantine, how to pace ourselves, forgive ourselves, not drive ourselves to death or to distraction with all our pre-pandemic goals for productivity, most of which were overdue for re-examination anyway. And so much of this is wise and right. We should be reciting reminders to ourselves and each other like incantations, exhortations to rest, wash hands, drink water, log off, log out, shut down the iPad, the computer, the phone. Recite this to ourselves and each other like a litany at night and a blessing on the day when we get up. Take care, take care, take care. Teach it to our children so they know and they won't forget that what matters most is not screen school now, but whether they feel happy, whether they feel safe, whether they feel curious about the world and brave and strong in it, and what answer they can give to Raymond Carver's question, which is an adult question, but it's suitable for kids and all of us at the end and the start of every day. Did you get what you wanted from this life? Even so, I did. And what did you want? to call myself beloved, to call myself beloved on the earth. This gets to the heart of what I really believe about self-care in pandemic times and all the time, that it really is not, it cannot be a personal project, but a common one. It is a work we hold together. So much of the self-care industry now is itself so judgy and expensive and demanding. Eat better food, which is hard to do if you're poor or working long shifts in a dangerous space or too tired to get to the store. Get more rest, which is impossible without sufficient childcare and money and time. Buy this product, take this class, read this book, work out more, practice yoga, meditate. So much sometimes can sound like messaging blared from a megaphone from inside a gilded cage. Self-care is about the community of care. And maybe now there's a little space, a little more spaciousness to imagine again what that looks like. A community of care, a country of care, a theology of care, not each person or each household fending for themselves, but a web of care for everyone. All the raggedy neighbors of the woman in the poem, who are us, by the way, on our not so shiny days, which is most of the days. Policies of care to hold all of us. I think of New Zealand and Jacinda Ardern and her plan to make mental illness, family violence, and child poverty the focus of national concern, the primary focus of national concern, investment, policy, and programs during the pandemic. And I think of our own new administration invoking on day one last week the Defense Production Act and SNAP extensions to combat hunger and immediate workplace protections and so many other initiatives to address COVID-19 as if it were a catastrophic national tragedy and emergency. All of this common care makes self-care way more likely and more possible. And then you can open the computer, the iPad, the phone, not for doom scrolling, but connection. None of us feel worthy. All of us lived locked within the lie of self-sufficiency, bootstrap grandiosity. There is no holiness in that, not a drop of mercy. I tell you, it's a sacrament to ask for help. It is, I'm telling you, a visible and outward sign of grace inside you and among us, holding us together, weary as we are, all waiting for permission, every single one of us, to ask for help when we need help. May we find the strength now and the courage to show each other how this might be done. We used to say it all the time when the pandemic began in these services. Every week we'd say, call to ask for help or offer help. Either way, it's a sacrament. On Wednesday, I asked the people who come to the soul work group to share stories about people, specific people, named and unnamed, who've helped them before in tough times, without whom they might not have made it, maybe the ones who are still helping them now. And it was so beautiful to hear the names and the stories of family and friends, and also strangers who sent out a lifeline, sent up a flare. One person said, almost in astonishment, I feel myself buoyed along by so many floats. And they told us about letter writing and phone calls and texting and Zoom groups, including with many of you. And in another group, same question, somebody talked about neighbors and food, and they were talking so fast, so excited, I couldn't catch who was bringing food to whom, but either way, both ways, it was a saving grace. All these ways we show up and save each other. This is a collective project, whether on the micro scale of our own lives or the macro stage of our country. We're all vulnerable and powerful together. Arcelis Gurmi tells another lovely story in another lovely poem about leaning out the window and spying on the neighbors, which I guess I am endorsing, not spying exactly, but watching and listening for clues about how to be human, how to be and become more human among humans in this time. She saw and she heard and took into her soul an extraordinary thing in exchange. Her poem is called On Kindness. And then there was that extraordinary Sunday. I heard a woman screaming about how she was lonely, and so lonely she didn't know what she'd do, she said. I looked out the window and saw the way she flung her arms, and I walked away from the window and sat angry with her for screaming and sad. And not long after, I heard a man's voice and the woman saying, I'm so lonely, I could kill myself. And then quiet, and the man's voice saying, it's okay, I love you, it's okay. And this made me get up and put my face again to the window to see my landlord's nephew outside, just hugging her so, as if it were his mother. I mean, as if he belonged to her. Later I asked him, do you know that woman out there? The nephew said no. He didn't know that woman out there. And I can't stop seeing them. Sometimes in the memory, his head is touching hers. Sometimes in the memory, his eyes are closed. And sometimes she's holding him and singing to him, I love you. It's okay. I mean to tell you that everywhere I go, I hear us singing to each other. I mean to tell you, I have witnessed such great kindness as this. You must believe me. I mean, I saw this happen. The two of them hugging when nobody was supposed to be watching, but not a secret either, public as the street. Not for glory, not a joke. The landlord's nephew ready to stand there for that woman, like a brother or a sister or a husband or a son. And none of these at all, but a stranger who, like her, is an earthling. Perhaps this thing I'm calling kindness is more simple than kindness, rather recognition of the neighbor and the blue shared earth and the common circumstance of being here. She says in the poem, this kindness returns me to myself. We have a little more space now to think about such things again, to breathe into and imagine compassion, but more than compassion, kindness, and more than kindness, the kind of self-care, soul care, that cares for everybody, strangers and lovers and neighbors and friends, all of us. It's a new day. Together, we are a new day. The hymn is Do You Hear? It's number 112 in Singing the Living Tradition.
Do you hear, oh my friend, in the place where you stand, through the sky, through the land? Do you hear, in the heights on the plain, in the vale on the main, in the sun, in the rain? Do you hear, through the roar, through the rush, through the throng, through the crush? Do you hear in the hush of your soul, of your soul? Hear the cry, fear won't still. Hear the heart's call to will. Hear a sigh, startling trill in your soul, in your soul. From the place where you stand to the outermost strand, do you hear, oh my friend? Do you hear, all the dreams, all the dares, all the sighs, all the prayers? They are yours, mine and theirs. Do you hear,
Please join me in the closing words. May peace dwell in our hearts and understanding in our minds. May courage steel our will and love of truth forever guide us.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us today. At 11:15, in a few minutes, join us for Cyber Social Hour. It's really just half an hour, easy conversation with a facilitator. We really hope you'll come. We're sending love to you today from Maple Street and all of our locations. Please call to ask for help or offer it. Farewell and stay well, everyone, from all of us. So be it, see to it. Amen.
Of all the money that e'er I had, I spent it in good company, and of all the harm that e'er I did, alas, it was to none but me. And all I've done for want of wit to memory now I can't recall. So fill to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all. Of all the comrades that e'er I had, they're sorry for my going away, and all the sweethearts that e'er I had, they'd wish me one more day to stay. But since it falls unto my lot that I shall rise and you shall not, I'll gently rise and I'll softly